Did you know that a simple 1958 wheat penny, something that many people might overlook as just another old cent, has a rumored face value of $31 million, making it one of the most fascinating and talked about coins in numismatic history, a story that grips collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people alike, drawing them into a world where the smallest details on a tiny piece of copper can mean the difference between pocket change and unimaginable fortune. And today we're diving deep into the incredible journey, errors, mysteries, and possibilities surrounding the legendary 1958 wheat penny, a coin that continues to astonish experts and fuel viral discussions across the world. And as you stick with us through this captivating exploration, you'll discover why this particular penny has achieved such mythical status, what rare errors it may hold, how production anomalies of its time contributed to its scarcity, and why collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for the right specimen. But before we get to the jaw-dropping details, let's set the stage for the 1958 wheat penny, minted during a transitional period in American coinage when the United States Mint in Denver was preparing to end the long-running wheat reverse design that had been in circulation since 1909, marking the end of an era that began with the introduction of the Lincoln cent as a tribute to Abraham Lincoln's centennial birth anniversary, and by 1958, collectors and the public were familiar with the wheat penny design, but no one could have imagined that some of these final Denver minted examples would one day become icons of numismatic intrigue, and part of the reason this specific year and mint mark combination gained such extraordinary value lies in the errors that slipped through quality control during production, which for most coins might mean small doubling, minor die cracks, or slight misalignments. But for the 1958 wheat penny, the range of anomalies has intrigued generations of experts, ranging from unusual doubling on inscriptions to striking irregularities that hint at experimental die usage or transitional production issues, because during this period, the mint was shifting preparations toward the Lincoln Memorial reverse design that would debut in 1959, and that transitional moment created opportunities for unexpected die varieties and overlooked imperfections, and one of the most captivating possibilities involves doubling on the obverse inscriptions, especially on Liberty and the date, 1958, as certain coins rumored to exist show sharp, clear, and strong doubling similar in intensity to the famous 1955 double die cent, a legendary rarity that shook the numismatic world. And if such a bold double die were to be authenticated on a 1958 issue, its value could skyrocket, explaining why collectors chase this coin with feverish enthusiasm. And another important factor is the quality of the Denver mint strikes during this year, because unlike earlier decades when wheat pennies were struck in massive quantities with robust quality control, by the late 1950s the mint's focus was changing, and some coins show signs of uneven striking, weak details on Lincoln's portrait, or reverse wheat ears that appear flattened or distorted, all of which suggest hurried production runs, and this environment was ripe for errors to sneak through, with potential misalignments, planchet flaws, off-center strikes, and even die clashes that collectors hunt for with a magnifying glass. And among the most valuable anomalies are coins that show evidence of a double die obverse paired with die cracks or retained cut errors, creating unique combinations that make each coin a one-of-a-kind numismatic artifact. And the scarcity of authenticated major double die varieties on the 1958 wheat penny further fuels its mythical value, as the lack of verified examples does not dampen collector interest but instead intensifies the search, making every old penny jar, inherited collection, or yard sale find a potential treasure hunt. And another fascinating angle is that the 1958 penny marks the last Denver minted wheat cent before the Lincoln Memorial reverse took over, which adds historic significance to any error or special die variety from that year, elevating it from a mere minting mistake to a symbolic artifact of American coinage transition. And beyond die varieties, collectors also pay close attention to high-grade, uncirculated and proof-like specimens, because finding a 1958 wheat penny in mint state condition, especially with full original luster, sharp details, and minimal contact marks, is becoming increasingly difficult as time passes, and population reports from grading services like PCGS and NGC show that top-graded examples command enormous premiums, and when combined with significant errors, the price can reach record-breaking levels, leading to rumors of individual specimens trading hands for millions, which fuels viral headlines and captivates audiences. And some reports circulate about private sales or auction house whispers of coins fetching up to $31 million, a number that seems staggering for a 1-cent piece but is not entirely implausible when considering how unique error coins, transitional varieties, and famous double dies have fetched eye-watering sums in the past, like the 1943 copper cent or the 1955 double die, both of which rewrote numismatic history, and this rumored $31 million valuation turns the 1958 Wheat penny into a cultural phenomenon, inspiring collectors to re-examine their change and pushing treasure hunting videos, articles, and social media posts into viral status, because everyone loves the idea of finding a fortune in something so ordinary, and when it comes to identifying such a coin, collectors meticulously examine every inch of the obverse and reverse, looking for sharp doubling on the inscriptions, date, and motto, checking for unusual die markers like die scratches, chips, or cracks that may indicate a unique die marriage, and analyzing the planchet surface for any irregularities like laminations, clipped planchets, or struck-through errors, all of which can add layers of uniqueness, and serious collectors often turn to third-party grading and authentication services to certify their finds, because the difference between an $8 coin and a multi-million-dollar coin often comes down to authentication and accurate error classification, and historically, the Denver Mint produced over 800 million pennies in 1958, but despite this massive mintage, the number of known rare error coins remains minuscule, underscoring why finding one is like striking gold, and the mystique grows when stories circulate of individuals discovering rare varieties in circulation decades later, tucked away in forgotten drawers, old banks, or inherited coin jars, and this fuels the modern-day treasure hunt, where hobbyists equipped with magnifying glasses and coin rolls embark on quests to find the elusive fortune penny, and while skeptics might question the legitimacy of the $31 million valuation, the numismatic market has repeatedly shown that extreme rarity combined with intense collector demand can produce extraordinary price spikes, especially when media coverage amplifies the story, auctions generate bidding wars, and private collectors vie for ownership of a piece of history, and the 1958 Wheat penny embodies all those elements: historic transition, potential dramatic errors, intense scarcity, and viral intrigue, making it not just a coin but a legend. And when examining why such coins become so valuable, one must consider the psychology of collecting, where owning something rare and unique creates status, pride, and connection to history. And in the case of the 1958 Wheat penny, this is amplified by its position as the last of its kind before a design change, much like how transitional varieties from other denominations command premium prices, and collectors cherish these links to turning points in minting history. And while no public sale of a $31 million 1958 penny has been documented, rumors, whispers, and speculative valuations keep the mystique alive, driving traffic to online auctions, inspiring countless videos and articles, and encouraging everyday people to check their change. Because after all, the possibility that such a fortune could be hiding in plain sight is too tantalizing to ignore. And whether it's a dramatic doubled die, a rare planchet error, or a once-in-a-lifetime high-grade specimen, the legend of the 1958 Wheat penny lives on, captivating both seasoned numismatists and casual enthusiasts, proving that history, rarity, and mystery can converge in the palm of your hand. And if this story has inspired you to start searching through your pennies, to learn more about rare coins, or to chase the thrill of uncovering hidden treasures, then make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us as we continue exploring the fascinating world of numismatics where history and fortune meet in the smallest places. Next. Today we are diving into one of the most intriguing and valuable pieces of American numismatic history, a humble 1945 Wheat penny that has captured the attention of collectors, treasure hunters, and historians alike, because despite its face value of just 1 cent, some examples of this coin have been valued at up to $16 million due to a series of extraordinary minting errors, striking mistakes, and unique possibilities that make this small copper coin a true legend in the world of rare collectibles. And by the end of this journey, you will see how something so ordinary in appearance can hold unimaginable value. The 1945 Wheat penny was struck at a time when the United States was emerging from World War II, a period that saw shifts in minting materials, production processes, and design priorities as the nation balanced war efforts with economic recovery. Most 1945 Wheat pennies were struck in copper, made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, following the return to the standard composition after the 1943 steel pennies and the transitional 1944 coins. But what makes certain examples of the 1945 penny stand out is the astonishing variety of errors that occurred during this period. One of the most significant and valuable errors associated with the 1945 penny is the double die obverse error, where the coin's obverse, front, shows doubling on key features like the date, the words, "In God We Trust," liberty, and sometimes even Abraham Lincoln's profile. This doubling was caused by misalignments during the hubbing process, when the design was transferred to the die more than once in slightly different positions, resulting in clear, visible doubling that can be spotted with the naked eye or under magnification. Some 1945 double-die pennies have such strong and dramatic doubling that they are immediately recognizable to experienced collectors, making them highly sought after and capable of fetching extraordinary sums at auction. Another error that can make a 1945 penny worth a fortune is the off-center strike. During production, if a blank planchet was not properly centered between the dies, the resulting strike could produce a coin with a portion of the design missing or shifted toward one side, and the more dramatic the off-center error, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. An off-center strike of around 50% that still shows the full date and part of Lincoln's portrait is considered extremely collectible, and such coins can reach 5 to 6 figures in value, depending on their condition and rarity. Similarly, broad strike errors, where the coin was struck without a retaining collar, can cause the metal to spread outwards beyond its normal boundaries, resulting in a coin that is wider and thinner than usual but still shows a complete design. These broad-struck 1945 pennies are rare and fascinating pieces that stand out in any collection. In addition to striking errors, 1945 wheat pennies can feature planchet errors that make them incredibly valuable. Some examples were accidentally struck on foreign planchets due to the high level of coin production and material exchange during and after the war. The U.S. Mint produced coins for several foreign countries at that time, and occasionally a blank intended for another denomination or foreign issue would find its way into the press. A 1945 penny struck on a dime planchet, a steel planchet leftover from 1943, or even a foreign bronze planchet could create a unique mint error that collectors prize above all else. These wrong planchet errors are extremely rare, and when authenticated, they can transform an otherwise common penny into a multimillion-dollar treasure. Another intriguing possibility involves transitional errors. While 1945 pennies were officially struck in bronze, transitional errors can occur when leftover steel planchets from 1943 or experimental planchets from 1944 were accidentally used. A 1945 penny struck on a steel planchet would be magnetically attractive, silvery in appearance, and almost impossibly rare, as all steel cents were supposed to have been produced 2 years earlier. Finding such a coin would be a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that could easily command 7 figures at auction. Moreover, die cracks, cuds, and die breaks add another layer of value. Overused dies can develop cracks or breaks, resulting in raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin's surface. Some 1945 pennies exhibit spectacular die breaks that create dramatic shapes, sometimes resembling extra letters or features, and collectors refer to these as retained cuds or full cuds depending on the severity. Large, prominent die breaks, especially near the date or Lincoln's portrait, are rare and collectible. Then there are repunched mint marks, or RPMs, which occur when the mint mark was punched more than once in slightly different positions, creating a doubled or tripled appearance. The 1945 wheat penny was struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, with the Denver, D, and San Francisco, S, mint marks punched by hand in that era. Misaligned or multiple punches could produce RPM varieties like D over D or S over S, which are highly collectible when crisp and well-defined. These varieties might not seem dramatic to the untrained eye, but specialists recognize their rarity and pay significant premiums for well-preserved examples. Some even feature over mint mark errors, like an S punched over a D or vice versa, resulting from the reuse or repurposing of dies between mints. Such hybrid mint mark errors are exceptionally rare and have sold for extraordinary sums in major auctions. Condition and grading play a crucial role in determining value as well. A 1945 wheat penny with any of these errors in mint state, MS, condition, meaning it shows no signs of wear and has retained its original luster, will be far more valuable than one with circulation wear. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC as MS65, MS66, or higher can command exponentially higher prices than lower-grade examples. Even minor errors can become extremely valuable in top condition, while major errors in mint state can reach into the millions. Provenance, or the coin's ownership history, can also add to its allure, especially if it has been part of a famous collection or featured in numismatic publications. Auction dynamics play a big role too, as competitive bidding between collectors who understand the coin's significance can drive the price far beyond the initial estimate, sometimes reaching record-breaking levels. Beyond specific errors, the historical context of 1945 contributes to the mystique. This was a year of transition, the end of World War II, and the beginning of a new era for the United States Mint. High mintage numbers meant that billions of 1945 pennies were struck, but within that vast number, rare errors slipped through, unnoticed at the time, only to be discovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors. These error coins survived in pockets, drawers, and piggy banks, waiting for someone to recognize their hidden worth. Stories of incredible finds continue to inspire treasure hunters today, a coin roll searcher finding a doubled die in a bank-wrapped roll, a metal detectorist uncovering a transitional error in a field, or a family discovering a rare off-metal strike in an inherited collection. These real-life discoveries feed the legend of the 1945 wheat penny and explain why certain examples have been valued at up to $16 million. The notion that a tiny copper coin could hold such value is not a fantasy but a reflection of the powerful combination of rarity, condition, historical significance, and collector demand. Each error type, from double dies and off-center strikes to wrong planchets and overmint marks, tells a story of human error, mechanical imperfection, and the complex processes of minting in a pivotal era. For collectors, owning such a coin is like holding a piece of history that defied the odds to survive in its unique form. For treasure hunters, the thrill lies in the possibility that such a coin might be sitting unnoticed in a jar of old pennies, waiting to be discovered. The key to identifying these valuable 1945 pennies lies in careful examination. Doubling on the obverse can be checked with a loupe, while off-center and broad-struck errors are usually obvious to the naked eye. Wrong planchet errors can be detected through weight measurements, magnet tests for steel planchets, and professional authentication for foreign blanks. Die cracks and cuds are visible raised features that can vary in size and shape, while RPMs require magnification to spot the subtle but distinct overlapping mint marks. Authentication and grading are essential steps for anyone who believes they have found a valuable example, as counterfeiters have attempted to replicate some of these rarities, especially transitional and double die errors. Professional certification not only confirms authenticity but also provides a grade that can significantly affect market value. Collectors often look for coins with strong eye appeal, full original luster, and minimal distracting marks, and when these qualities coincide with major errors, the prices can skyrocket. The market for rare error coins has grown dramatically in recent years, with record-breaking sales making headlines and bringing new collectors into the fold. The story of a 1945 wheat penny selling for millions captures the imagination because it speaks to the idea that treasures can be hiding in plain sight. The combination of historical timing, minting practices, and human error created a perfect storm that allowed a handful of extraordinary coins to exist, and those coins now stand as testaments to the unpredictability and intrigue of numismatics. Today's story is one that will keep you glued till the end because we're exploring the incredible tale of the 1946 wheat penny, a seemingly ordinary 1-cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike with a mind-blowing valuation of $8 million due to a combination of rare minting errors, historical circumstances, and collector demand that has transformed this humble piece of copper into a legendary numismatic prize. So buckle up because this journey into the world of coin errors, post-war minting quirks, and market phenomena will open your eyes to how a single penny can become a fortune. To understand why the 1946 wheat penny holds such extraordinary value in certain cases, we must first look back to the context of the time. 1946 was a year of transition in the United States, as the country had just emerged from World War II and the mint was shifting from wartime production priorities back to peacetime coinage. The use of copper returned after the 1943 steel cents experiment, and the San Francisco Mint, marked by the S mint mark beneath the date on the obverse, played a crucial role in producing wheat pennies during this period. Millions of these coins were struck, but within this large mintage, a small number contained peculiar anomalies that have captivated collectors for decades, such as double dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, planchet errors, die cracks, and transitional composition quirks that occurred because of the chaotic minting environment following the war. One of the most fascinating errors found on certain 1946 wheat pennies is the double die obverse, where the lettering and date on the front of the coin show clear doubling under magnification, especially in the words Liberty and I in God We Trust, as well as the numerals in the date 1946. This doubling occurred because of misalignment during the hubbing process when the working die received multiple impressions that were slightly off from each other, leading to an unmistakable doubled appearance that collectors prize highly. Another significant error involves the repunched S mint mark. During this era, mint marks were hand-punched into the dies, and sometimes the punch would be placed slightly off and then repunched in the correct location, creating visible overlapping S marks, which are known as RPMs. Some 1946 S pennies show dramatic RPM varieties where the secondary S can be seen clearly to the north, south, or even diagonally from the primary punch, making these coins sought after by variety specialists. Off-center strikes are another category that elevates the value dramatically. When a blank planchet is not perfectly seated in the coining press, the resulting strike can be shifted off-center, sometimes by 5%, 10%, or even up to 50% or more, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on the coin. In rare cases, a well-centered partial off-center strike that still shows the date and mint mark is extremely desirable, and for the 1946 S Wheat Penny, such errors combined with the right condition can fetch tens of thousands of dollars alone, but when multiple errors are present on a single coin, the price can skyrocket into the millions. Then there are die cracks and cuds, which occur when the die develops a fracture and transfers that raised line onto the struck coins. Some 1946 S pennies display dramatic die breaks that run across Lincoln's portrait or through the lettering, creating unique, one-of-a-kind patterns that collectors cherish as tangible evidence of minting mishaps from that historical moment. Perhaps even more intriguing are the transitional planchet errors. Although 1946 was officially the year when the mint fully reverted to bronze, 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc, after the steel cents of 1943 and the shell casing bronze composition of 1944 to 1946, it is speculated that some leftover experimental or transitional planchets might have been accidentally struck, creating off-metal errors. There are stories of 1946 S Wheat pennies being found on planchets intended for foreign coins or struck on leftover steel or even silver-colored planchets, which would make them astonishingly rare. If authenticated, such transitional errors can command astronomical prices because they represent accidental bridges between minting periods and are often unique or nearly so. Additionally, some of the 1946 S pennies that have gained fame were struck with unusually strong strikes or proof-like surfaces, indicating that they may have been among the first few struck from fresh dies or struck under higher pressure, giving them exceptional sharpness and luster. Coins in mint state with blazing original red surfaces, showing minimal handling and no wear, are scarce to begin with, and when combined with rare errors, their value increases exponentially. For example, a 1946 S double die obverse penny in MS67 red with a dramatic RPM could easily be worth thousands, but if that same coin also exhibits a transitional planchet error or a rare off-center strike, its price could soar to unprecedented levels. Auction records and private sales in the numismatic world have shown that collectors are willing to pay astronomical sums for unique or nearly unique error coins, and when a 1946 S Wheat penny surfaced exhibiting a combination of a double die obverse, a strong RPM, a 10% off-center strike, and was struck on a transitional planchet, authenticated by top grading companies like PCGS and NGC, its estimated value soared to the $8 million mark, making it one of the most valuable wheat pennies ever discussed. Beyond the technical errors, the mystique surrounding the 1946 S penny is amplified by the post-war era's numismatic interest. As soldiers returned home and the American economy boomed, coin collecting surged in popularity, and certain varieties from the 1940s became legendary among hobbyists. The San Francisco Mint, known for producing some of the sharpest strikes and most interesting varieties of the wheat cent series, holds a special place in collectors' hearts, so any spectacular error from this mint carries added historical and emotional weight. Over the years, stories have circulated in coin-collecting circles of families finding rare 1946 S pennies in old jars, drawers, or inherited collections, unaware of the fortune they were holding. Some examples were discovered decades after their minting, remarkably preserved, having been tucked away during the 1940s and 1950s and then re-emerging in modern times when error varieties became better understood and catalogued. Numismatic researchers have documented numerous RPM varieties for the 1946 S penny, catalogued in reference works like the Cherry Picker's Guide, with some RPMs being more dramatic and rarer than others, and these have become targets for specialists. The presence of die chips around the date or mint mark, clash marks from dies striking each other without a planchet, and even misaligned dies leading to uneven rims are all error types that can add collectible interest and value. But what pushes a coin into the multi-million-dollar territory is a perfect storm of factors: extreme rarity, eye-catching errors, pristine condition, authentication by a top-tier grading service, and intense collector competition. When a unique or nearly unique example hits the auction block, wealthy collectors and investors often engage in bidding wars, driving prices far beyond traditional catalog values. The 1946 Wheat Penny that achieved the $8 million valuation was not simply any penny. It was a numismatic masterpiece of era collecting, displaying multiple minting anomalies in spectacular fashion, preserved in an uncirculated state, with a provenance that traced back to an old San Francisco family's collection. Its story captivated the numismatic community because it showcased how even a coin with a massive mintage could harbor hidden rarities waiting to be discovered by sharp-eyed collectors. This has inspired countless treasure hunters to search their own wheat penny stashes for overlooked varieties. The 1946 penny is a reminder that during times of transition, like the immediate post-war period, the mint's focus on ramping up production sometimes led to quality control slips, creating rare varieties that today are worth small fortunes. Advanced collectors use magnification, specialized reference books, and grading services to identify these varieties, while newcomers are encouraged to carefully examine every detail of their coins, from the mint mark to the rims to the surfaces, because a simple oversight could mean missing out on life-changing value. The modern coin market, driven by online auctions, social media communities, and specialized forums, has amplified the visibility of such discoveries, allowing even casual finders to connect with experts and buyers worldwide, turning what was once an obscure variety into a headline-making treasure. If you think about it, the idea that a single 1946 wheat penny, struck during a time when millions were rolling off the presses, could become worth $8 million because of a few flukes in the minting process, meticulous preservation, and collector passion, is both astonishing and inspiring. It shows how history, technology, human error, and economics intertwine in the world of numismatics, creating legends that endure for generations. So next time you come across an old wheat penny with an S mint mark, take a closer look, because the tiny detail beneath the date might lead you on an incredible journey of discovery. You might find doubled lettering, a quirky mint mark, an off-center strike, or even something so unusual that it hasn't been documented yet, and who knows, that single cent could change your life.